who are some of your favorite bass players from when you finally figured out what a bass guitar was until now? Who's some of the people that you listen to?
Well, when I first started playing, see, I growing up in Southern California, like I said earlier. It was like a big punk rock scene. Mm-hmm. So that's what we were listening to. So my brothers were playing punk rock, and that's all I wanted to play. That's what I told my teacher I wanted. I don't show me nothing but punk rock. But you know, he showed me Beatles. We played, you know, Day Tripper, and can't remember the other songs. I mean, we play a bunch of different songs, rock songs, and but some of my favorite bass players, like I really got into Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. I loved him so much, man. I got myself a '57 P bass, reissue, American made. Man, I still have that thing right now, man. That thing sounds great, and so I just learned all of his stuff. You know, the triple type thing, and then Geddy Lee from Rush. I really loved him, so I learned some of his stuff. Then one day, my friend told me about. He's like, "Hey man, I bet you can't play this," and it was Bob Marley's "One Love," and so I'm listening to it. I'm like, man, that sounds weird. Everything's different. Like the rhythm is just totally inverted. So I practiced it because I love when someone challenges me. I'm like, okay, I got to do it now, you know, because he just busted me on it. So I'm like, so I listened to it. And I'm like, so I'm playing it, and I enjoyed playing it, and the lyrics touched me so much, so deeply, because the message about racism and about, you know, let's love one another. Everybody needs to get together and feel all right. So it touched me so much because I didn't know there was a music entirely devoted to, you know, anti-racism and unity amongst all people. I grew up in a household that was very, I guess you could say, liberal when it comes to race relations. Like my mother's side of the family is Jewish. My father's came over like the Pilgrims, you know, they're peaceful people, whatever. But I mean, when I grew up, I think I was like 5 years old when the Roots series came on, and it affected me deeply watching that, and it actually hurt me. Like it traumatized me, like almost like abused myself. So I had this gnawing feeling in my heart, like feeling, you know, really, really sad, like, because you know, when you're 4 or 5 years old, you don't know any better. So when I saw African American, I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, and I feel like, you know, you know, because, you know, we're children, we don't process things in rational ways. So when I heard reggae music, it touched me so much, like I just fell in love with it. So from there, I learned all the Bob Marley stuff, like Family Man Barrett. Aston Family Man Barrett is the bass player from Bob Marley. And so I had this little reggae band we were playing, like when I was like 16 years old, 17 years old. And that was when I first started playing gigs, playing reggae. And really wasn't interested in anything else. I mean, I listened to other stuff, but, you know, that's all I did was reggae. And I ran into just so happened that George Fully Fullwood, the bass player from the old Studio One days in Kingston, Jamaica, played with Peter Tosh and Bob Marley, and he's on a lot of classic reggae stuff. Happened to live in the same town I was living in, and so I went and saw him, and he was playing at a little local gig, and then we just became friends. And so I was 17 years old, he was just like taking me around to all the gigs he was doing and letting me sit in and stuff. And I ran into his favorite drummer that he grew up playing with, Santa Davis. Santa Davis plays for Ziggy Marley now, and you know, me and Santa became close. And if you know the band Big Mountain, they sing "Baby I Love Your Way," the reggae version of Peter Frampton's "Baby I Love Your Way." He was playing with them at the time, and so they needed they got rid of their bass player and they hired me on. So that was probably when I was like about 22 or so. Started playing, touring the world with them, and but along the way, though, like in my spare time, throughout this time, because I don't want to give the impression that I was only listening to reggae, but I was getting into Marcus Miller, Bootsy Collins. Like I discovered P-Funk, because I'm from California, man. It's like it's kind of hard to discover some of the sweet R&B and soul, you know, if you just didn't grow up around it. So I was reading in a bass magazine one day, they were featuring Bootsy, and I'm like, let me check this out. So I just listened to it and I fell in love. Bernie Worrell playing the key bass on Flashlight, you know, that kind of stuff was just crazy to me. And so I got really into it. I started playing synth bass during the reggae. Reggae inspired me to play synth bass because they were doing a lot of synth bass stuff at the time. And so I said, let me get it. Let me get a synth bass. So I got up rolling to SH-101, and I started programming that and stuff. And so I ended up going to Musicians Institute. But I was also studying upright. Before I went to Musicians Institute, I was going to a community college in Mission Viejo called Saddleback Community College. I wanted to play fretless, so I figured let me play upright. So I was playing in the community college, and I kind of had a goal to like go to a couple different community colleges. There was a late great sax player. He was leading the big band and teaching jazz at Orange Coast College that I eventually wanted to go to hang out in his classes, where like Eric Marienthal, sax player that played with Chick Corea, came out of there. Art Davis, I don't know if you know Art Davis, upright player. He played with a lot of great people, great jazz artists. So I went up there. I learned more about music, and then after that I went to Musicians Institute and I studied with Steve Bailey over there, and you know, we played all different styles of music. Victor Wooten, another big inspiration, Jocko, of course, and I wouldn't be doing myself justice or doing them justice to say that they're influences of mine, because I mean, I haven't really spent a lot of time like working out all their solos and stuff. There'd be some little things I work on playing, you know, but for the most part, I didn't really take it that deep, because I know a lot of cats that like they learn all those things note for note, and that's just not what I did. I mean, I'd like to, like in my spare time, I kind of do it. Like Marcus Miller, there's a solo that I worked out that I really liked by Marcus Miller. Let's see, other bass players that influenced me. Oh, and then just recently, again, my whole approach to a lot of bass players I don't know. Of course, James Jamerson, we all know. I mean, I learned what's going on that bass line. I mean, he never repeats a phrase, never repeats a pattern, and it's never overplaying, and it's always in the pocket, and it's just incredible. It's a masterpiece. So those were the guys that I was learning. I was studying kind of like on my spare time while I was doing gigs, because I was like working like 7 nights a week playing reggae in California. But when I moved out to Las Vegas, I was playing reggae still, and then I started playing the R&B in the lounges. It was kind of like my first time playing like real R&B gigs like all night long. And I just did the same thing, took my keyboard bass wherever I went. So I started programming, and I really love to program and try to find that right sound to match it just as closely as possible to the record. I never try to like just go, oh, that's good enough, or just, you know, use one of the standard sounds that's comes with a keyboard. I think that's kind of like a lame way to approach my craft, you know. So so that's what I did in the lounges, and so whatever song I was learning, again, I took on that bass player, like, and so a lot of the bass players' names I don't know who they are that did all the R&B stuff. Like a lot of them I have no idea who it is. I mean, the bass player that played with Pleasure, I don't know his name, but that dude is amazing.
Was it
Glide, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff, like that kind of stuff. So any R&B artist, man, I just like listen to the bass line. You know, of course, Marcus Miller with Luther Vandross. So I know some of them, but so that's how I would approach it. So all those guys are my influences, because I just look at it the same way. It's like, man, these guys played on this hit. That's what I want to do. So I better learn to play like them. So hopefully one day someone will call me and I can play on the hit, you know.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, look, Will, you know I ain't want to keep you, man, but I've been enjoying my entire time here hanging out with you.
Me too, man.
And the BOYZ, the men, and the band, and the crew, and everything, man. But I really ain't want to keep you because I know you got to go do this show that they will not let me film. So folks, I hope you got one of those sold out tickets. But what I like to say before I let you go, and before you play us out, is there anything, man, that you would like to say to all of those bass players out there in TV land?
You know what I like to say is that if there's anything that you find that's difficult to play, because like most of the stuff I've ever tried to start playing was difficult at first. I don't know, I felt like Charlie Brown sometimes, because it's like I want to learn that, but it's like I can't play that yet. But just whatever it is, take your time, slow it down, and play it slow, play it perfectly slow, and then slowly, gradually play it faster and faster and faster. Take everything like by piece by piece.
Do you teach?
I have in the past, but I don't currently right now, but I'm definitely open to it.
If we wanted to get in touch with you, hang out with you, you know, via the internet world, how do we do that?
Well, I have a website, shivelymusic.com, SHIVELY music.com. You can hit me up there. You can hit me on my email, william.shively@yahoo.com. And
Facebook, you got a Facebook?
Oh yeah, you can hit me on my Facebook, facebook.com/William Shively. And one thing I wanted to say though, as far as bass player influences, I've been getting into Maurice Fitzgerald, played with Fred Hammond, like the whole gospel thing. So like any gospel artist, that's any bass player that's playing underneath the gospel artist. I know Andrew Goucher, I think. Andrew Goucher, yeah. I know he's on some of that. I know Sheree Reed is on some of that, and so I'm working on, you know, trying to cop their styles and get that into my soul, into my being, so that way it comes out too. So those are some other cats that I've been listening to.
Okay, well, again, man, I ain't want to keep you, man. So, but again, thanks a lot for letting us do this interview on behalf of the Detroit bass players. Thanks for coming to Detroit, and you and the boys, man. And I'm gonna let you go, man. Why don't you just play us out right quick?
All right.